What's up guys, my name is Ujurak, and we all know how it goes when content creators try and dabble into things other than content creation. Not well, but this feels very different. This is Shroud's new game that he has been working and collaborating on, and if you're one of the only 4 Uners that don't know who Shroud is, well, he was a Counterstrike pro and is pretty much the best aimer in all of gaming, and is pretty much insane at any FPS and tactical shooter you give him. So when I heard he was collaborating with an upcoming tactical shooter himself, I immediately thought, yeah, this game isn't lasting 2 days. Too often do people overextend themselves out of their niches. Tom Brady and commentating. And to my surprise, I was completely wrong. This game is absolutely great. Spectre Divide consistently rewards thinking, and it empowers you to play in off-meta ways to get the edge on your opponent. It seems like positioning is everything in this game, and contrary to other games on the market, it really encourages you to make your decisions fast and play even faster. Let's go, baby!
Beautiful.
What makes this interesting is the fact that you have a Spectre, and in order to win the game, you must divide. Now you ask, what is a Spectre? Well, your Spectre is another you. The game labels itself as a 3v3, but in reality, it's a 6v6. You have 2 lives, and whenever you're in the buy phase, you buy packages of weapons that equip your real body and your Spectre's body. You can manipulate these bodies by throwing down a puck on the map that moves the body you aren't controlling to a new location. But believe me, when I first saw this game, dude, I thought this mechanic was trash. On God, I thought it was too goofy. But then I started experimenting around, and I was pleasantly surprised with how natural it felt. So in Spectre Divide, ADS is always 100% accurate. You can play super fast and aggressive, and your shots will always line up with your reticle. You know, after months of grinding Valorant, this was an insane breath of fresh air, as I felt that stopping and shooting was just a huge gimmick and just terrible for gameplay reasons, but, you know, my chat just says it's just skill diff, so they can go cry themselves to sleep. Oh my fucking god. Now when I tell you that shooting these weapons in this game makes me feel like she hadn't left me all those years ago, I mean it. You know, whoever designed the shooting mechanics and the way that the guns feel needs a glass of milk and a box of Hydrox's stat, because holy shit, these guns feel great. You know, it's just something about the way that the hit marker sounds when you get a headshot that just leaves you coming back, you know?
The fuck are they putting in this shit?
Okay, this may or may not be a good thing, but the combination of ADS being perfectly accurate and the great gunplay, honestly, it makes this game feel like the shooting does in Halo and Destiny. And trust me, the gunplay is the only reason those deprived franchises have had a grip on me for like the last 10 years. Spectre Divide brings a fresh new art style that is super pleasant to look at. The comic book drawing style with the cell art shading brings a Borderlands vibe that completely matches the tone of the game, and it makes me feel like I'm playing a piece of art rather than a mobile game. Now with all the things this game does right, it isn't a perfect game, and it sure does a lot wrong. At most skill levels, the game is more of a 6v6 where 3 characters on each team are simply AFK and the game flow is entirely clunky. Too often do players not move their Spectre with them during fights, and neither does the game encourage it because of the trail that follows the Spectres if their puck is thrown. Along with, if you guess wrong and move your Spectre too early, it will be at least 7 business days before you're at the other site because of how outlandishly large these maps are. These maps make you feel like the sites are in 2 separate states, and there's simply a large missed opportunity to have cool and engaging paths to utilize the ability to switch to your other body. Most of the off-angle paths are incredibly exposed or so obvious that if you go for them, you will be immediately punished. And the inclusion of reveal walls do not help the linearity of the game that should be anything but linear. The whole map design would benefit from the utter removal of these walls or significant decrease in their timer to, you know, allow for dynamic flanks and crazy rushes earlier in the round. Another oversight by the developers was not including identifiable features for the game's classes, or sponsors as the game refers to them as. This is just so confusing, and it eliminates another way the skill ceiling could have been raised. Again, it is another missed opportunity, as having big flashy features totally fits the vibe of the game, and it totally fits the vibe that a company sponsoring a player in a sport would have. To give the game credit, it does show which fully customizable character belongs to which sponsor at the top of the screen at all times, but during an intense gunfight, I am not looking at the top of the screen. And plus, it would be beneficial to know what util would come from where if the enemy team is spread out. For how fast the game encourages players to play, the game does no favors with the overall movement speed. There is a lot of untapped potential within the game if players did not move at a snail's pace. You know, the fact that this game makes Valorant feel fast is appalling. Swinging corners is an absolute nightmare due to the fact that any opposing player watching your angle will get an automatic half-second advantage due to the fact that your character decided, it was a good idea to try cement blocks as shoes for the day and leave you absolutely stranded when you are exposed in the open. Spectre Divide provides a new and fresh feel to the TAC shooter genre and has all the solid foundation points to be a staple of the genre. Too long have massive companies such as Valve and Riot controlled the esports genre of video games, and this indie shooter feels like it has the highest chance to have a permanent place in the scene. Its innovative take on TAC shooters leaves it to be a one-of-one instead of a conglomeration of other games on the market. I can imagine the pro scene to be as intense and big as Valorant, CSGO, and League, but first, there must be improvements to some of the core features. As for just ordinary gaming, Spectre Divide earns itself a permanent spot in competitive shooters. It has been the most fun I've had with the game in a long time. And to see this quality of a game come from an indie studio gives me hope for more indie games down the road. The game is free to play, and that alone should get you to at least boot up the game and see if it's for you. You'll be treated to a fun and fair shooter that is nothing like it on the market. So go give it the old college try and support these indie developers for the stellar job they did. But while doing everything right, one statement stays in my head. Fun and has insane potential, but honestly right now, I'd just rather boot up Deadlock. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you later.